The UHMS Mercy's Grace had been broadcasting its medical status on all frequencies for 3 days straight. White hull gleaming with red crosses visible from orbit. It drifted through the contested zone of the Kepler 4-42 system, evacuating wounded from both sides of the conflict. Commander Jessica Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes scanning the holographic display. Beside her, Lieutenant Jack Morrison monitored incoming transmissions, his jaw tight with tension. "The Zalthar fleet is approaching," Jack reported. "They're not responding to our hails." "Keep broadcasting," Jessica ordered. "Every treaty in the galaxy protects hospital ships. They know what we are." But the Zalthar didn't care. The first plasma bolt struck the Mercy's Grace amidships, tearing through the medical bay where 73 patients, human and alien alike, were receiving treatment. The second blast vaporized the port quarter. The third killed the engines, shields down. Jack shouted, his console exploding in sparks. "Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. We've got casualties." Jessica gripped her command chair as the ship lurched. Through the viewport, she watched the Zalthar dreadnought glide past, its weapons still glowing hot. They hadn't even bothered to finish the job. To them, destroying a hospital ship was just a message. Humanity's mercy was weakness. "Broadcast emergency signal," Jessica commanded, her voice ice-cold. "Tell Earth what happened here. Tell them everything." Jack's fingers flew across his damaged console. "Signal sent. ETA for response, 48 hours. Then we survived for 48 hours. Earth received the message 37 minutes later. The footage was damning. A clearly marked hospital ship transmitting medical status torn apart by deliberate fire. The Zalthar had committed the unthinkable. In Geneva, the United Earth Council convened an emergency session. The debate lasted 7 minutes. Humanity had spent 2 centuries among the stars practicing restraint, diplomacy, and measured response. They had built hospitals instead of battleships, sought peace instead of conquest. The galaxy had mistaken this for softness. That mistake would cost the Zalthar everything. Admiral Marcus Webb stood aboard the UES Retribution, humanity's first true warship to be deployed in 30 years. Behind him, the combined fleet of Earth's Rapid Response Armada materialized from FTL, 192 vessels that humanity had quietly constructed in deep space shipyards, hoping never to use them. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "we have the Zalthar homeworld on sensors." Webb's expression was granite. "Show them what happens when you make humans choose between mercy and justice." The human fleet didn't announce itself, didn't offer surrender terms, didn't broadcast warnings. They simply arrived in orbit over Zalthar Prime and began dismantling the planet's defenses with surgical precision. Every military installation, every orbital platform, every weapons depot, gone in the first hour. The Zalthar defenders scrambled, but human weapons technology, suppressed for decades to avoid seeming threatening, proved 2 generations beyond anything the galaxy had seen. Human railguns fired projectiles at 5% light speed. Human missiles maneuvered with AI precision that made alien point defense worthless. Human electronic warfare turned the Zalthar fleet's own systems against them. But Webb wasn't interested in destroying the Zalthar homeworld. That would make humanity monsters. Instead, he taught them what real power looked like. Back on the crippled Mercy's Grace, Jessica worked frantically in the makeshift medical bay they'd established in the cargo hold. Her hands were stained with blood, human Zalthar, and species she couldn't even name, as she stabilized a young Zalthar soldier who'd been aboard for treatment when the attack occurred. "Commander," Jack called out, limping over with a med scanner. "You need to see this." He showed her the tactical feed. The Zalthar fleet, or what remained of it, was retreating from human space entirely. Their military command structure had been decapitated. Their weapons industry lay in ruins. But their city stood untouched. Their civilians unharmed. "How long did it take?" Jessica asked quietly. 14 hours, Jack replied. Webb neutralized their entire military capability in 14 hours without a single civilian casualty. Jessica looked down at the Zalthar soldier she'd just saved. The young alien's 3 eyes blinked up at her with something that might have been gratitude or fear. She couldn't tell. "That's the difference," she murmured. "We could have glassed their planet. Instead, we removed their ability to hurt anyone ever again and left their people alive." 3 weeks later, the Zalthar Empire formally surrendered. Their terms were simple: complete demilitarization, war crime tribunals for their leadership and reparations. But Webb added one more condition that shocked the Galactic Council. Earth would rebuild the Zalthar fleet as hospital ships. At the signing ceremony aboard the rebuilt Mercy's Grace, Ambassador Wei addressed the assembled representatives of 100 species. "You mistook our kindness for weakness," she said. "You thought because we built hospitals instead of dreadnoughts, we couldn't build dreadnoughts at all. You were wrong. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our capacity for destruction. It's our choice not to use it." Jessica stood in the audience beside Jack, both still bearing scars from the attack. The young Zalthar soldier they'd saved, now an ambassador for his own people, approached them hesitantly. "Why?" he asked in halting English. "Why save us? Why rebuild what you destroyed?" Jessica smiled tiredly. "Because the measure of a civilization isn't how completely it can destroy its enemies. It's how it treats them afterward." Jack nodded. "Besides, the galaxy needs more hospital ships. We're just making sure this time everyone understands they're sacred." The Zalthar ambassador looked between them, then up at the massive vessel they stood within, a ship that had been nearly destroyed for trying to save lives, now restored as a symbol of something the galaxy was only beginning to understand. Humanity didn't seek war, but if you forced them to fight, they would win so completely, so overwhelmingly, that you'd spend the rest of your existence grateful they were also merciful. That was the human way. That was the lesson the galaxy learned the day they fired on the Mercy's Grace.